Our world pretty much has one default setting, and that's go. We're always told to act fast, decide now, and keep moving. But what if the most powerful move you could possibly make is to make no move at all? What if the real secret to getting more done is actually doing less? That's what we're going to dive into today. The surprising and honestly game-changing power of strategic inaction.
Just let that question sit with you for a second. It feels a little weird, right? Kind of wrong? It goes against everything we've ever been taught about success and productivity. But in this explainer, we are going to challenge that core assumption head-on, and I'm going to show you how hitting the pause button intentionally can actually become your greatest advantage.
And this really lays out the two worlds we're living in. On one side, you've got the grind we all know so well, hustle culture. It's all about perpetual motion, making these reactive gut instinct decisions that, let's be honest, almost always lead to burnout. But then on the other side, you've got strategic inaction. This is a path of intentional pauses, and it leads to clarity and ultimately to real breakthroughs. They're two completely different ways of operating.
Okay, so to really get the solution, first we have to understand the problem. Why are we all so obsessed with just being busy? Well, it's because we're living in what you could basically call the cult of constant action.
This belief is just programmed into us from the time we're kids. We get praised for activity, for having a full schedule, for doing stuff. Stillness, on the other hand, is seen as lazy. And this conditioning, it sets us all up for a default mode that, frankly, comes with a really high price tag.
And that price is steep. This relentless pressure to act leads directly to burnout. We end up making poor, rushed decisions simply because there's no time to think. We miss out on those aha moments because our brains are just too cluttered and noisy. And it all adds up to that constant, draining feeling of being totally overwhelmed. Sound familiar at all?
All right, so if constant, frantic action is the problem, what's the solution? Well, this brings us to the core idea we're talking about today, learning to understand and harness the incredible power of the pause.
So what is strategic inaction, really? Let's be clear, it is not laziness. It is a deliberate tactic. It's the conscious choice to suspend action for a bit, to just watch and listen and wait, so that you can make a way more effective, way more powerful move when the time is actually right.
And we have to be crystal clear on this. This is not procrastination. They are opposites. Procrastination is passive, it's avoidant, it comes from a place of fear or feeling overwhelmed. Strategic waiting is active. It's a position of power. You are actively choosing to wait because you know it's going to lead to a better result.
Now, this is where the whole idea goes from just being a neat tactic to becoming a legitimate superpower. Because when you truly master the pause, doing nothing becomes your secret weapon for unlocking some major breakthroughs.
Think about it this way. When you're sprinting, all you can see is the ground right in front of your feet. It's only when you stop that you can finally look up and see the entire landscape. Slowing down literally gives your brain the space it needs to connect seemingly random dots, to finally spot those hidden patterns. And that right there, that's the soil where real innovation grows.
For a perfect real-world example, just look at Apple in the 90s. They were a mess, launching hundreds of unfocused products, burning through cash, and they were right on the verge of bankruptcy. So when Steve Jobs came back, what was his first huge move? It wasn't to build something new, nope, it was to stop. He hit a giant pause button, cutting over 70% of the entire product line. That single act of strategic inaction created the focus that led directly to the iMac and the iPod, the very products that saved the company.
Now, this isn't just some clever business philosophy. It's actually rooted in how our brains are literally wired. So let's take a quick look at the science behind all this stillness. You can think of it like this. We've got two basic pathways in our brain. There's the reactive brain, that's our autopilot. It sees a problem and immediately jumps to a familiar, habitual action. It's a knee-jerk reaction. But the reflective brain, that one works differently. It sees a problem and it inserts one crucial step, a pause. And that pause is everything. It allows you to observe, to consider your options, and to make a conscious, intentional choice instead of just reacting.
And there's actually a scientific name for this whole process. It's called the incubation period. This is the magic that happens when you step away from a really tough problem. While your conscious mind is taking a break, your subconscious keeps on working, connecting ideas in the background until, bam, the solution just appears in a flash of insight. A strategic pause is how you intentionally create the conditions for that to happen.
So what's the payoff for embracing this stillness? Well, it's huge. When you give your reflective brain a chance to actually do its job, you're not just avoiding bad decisions. You are actively boosting your creativity, you're sharpening your emotional intelligence, and you're creating the space for much clearer, higher quality thinking.
Okay, so the theory is powerful, I get it, but how do we actually use this in our chaotic, everyday lives? Right, let's get practical.
So, when are the perfect moments to hit that pause button? Well, think about these situations. You get an infuriating email and your fingers are just itching to fire back a response. Pause. You're staring at a dozen different options and you just feel paralyzed. Pause. You know for a fact you don't have all the info you need, or the path forward is a total fog. That is your signal from the universe to choose inaction.
Here's a super simple tool you can use right away. Let's call it the pause prompt. Step 1. Recognize the trigger, that gut feeling, that urge to react right now. Step 2. Ask yourself one simple question. Is action required this second, or will waiting give me more clarity? And step 3, this is the crucial one. Decide on a specific time in the future to come back to it. You're not ignoring the problem. You're just scheduling a better, smarter time to solve it.
Ultimately, this all comes down to a shift in your mindset. Our culture hates avoid. It hates silence. It hates stillness. The real art is learning how to be comfortable in that space, to resist that knee-jerk reaction to fill every single moment with activity, and to just trust that something valuable will come out of the quiet.
And that really is the beautiful paradox of this whole thing. The moments where you intentionally choose to do nothing, to think, to observe, to wait for the right pitch, those can be the very moments that set up your biggest and most meaningful accomplishments. It's the unseen work that truly makes all the difference.
So, I'll leave you with this one challenge. Think about your work, your life, your relationships. Where is one place, just one, this week, where you can resist the urge for immediate action? Where can you deploy a strategic pause, knowing that it might just lead to a much, much better outcome? Give it a try. You might be completely surprised by the power you find in doing absolutely nothing at all.